Hi, hello there. Today I am super excited because we're doing one of my favorite things, which is transforming an existing object with paint. And I've done this since the beginning of my channel when I took, for example, that planter and changed it more into my style, or with all of the lucky cats I painted, or with my tape dispenser, which was a boring tape dispenser, and I turned it into this cute bunny, or another planter here that I also made cuter. I've made a lot of these things because I truly enjoy them. And today we are going to transform this set of squishies that I got about a year ago. And we've talked about this. Me transforming objects is not everybody's cup of tea, but I truly love it. So we're going to do it. Also, I just cannot leave these alone. I think they have so much potential. So I really want to use my creativity and make them shine. So let's get started and let's get creative. Here's a closer look of the four squishies I'm transforming today. They have a little bit of paint on them because I was using them to take pictures for thumbnails. But it's time for the real painting to begin, so I'm going to start by prepping all of them together. I clean up the edges a bit, then sand them, and finally I paint them all with white fabric paint until it's opaque enough that they become a blank canvas. First up for the makeover is the giraffe, since it was voted most in need of a makeover in my Instagram stories. I wanted to paint it entirely with this pale yellow I had straight from the jar, but that seemed like it was going to take forever. It was so transparent. So I mixed a darker yellow to cover it entirely. But when it dried, of course, I thought it was too dark. So yeah, I painted it again. And then I had the color I wanted. Perfect. Now it was time to paint the giraffe's spots. All the brushes I was reaching for had their bristles messed up. Ugh, I thought I used to hoard brushes, but I couldn't find any that were in a good state. I was struggling with the spot painting already, and then I decided to paint one around its eye, and it immediately looks like a cow. What? How? I got a reference image and realized that, yeah, that's not how giraffe spots look like. So I wiped it clean and started to paint again, following the picture, and of course, it turned into a giraffe again. I also remember I had this detailing brush set that rescued me for this project. It was truly perfect, especially because painting the spots on this giraffe took a really long time, and they all needed a second layer of paint. I spent a good hour painting the spots alone. But hey, this is already such a massive improvement. Inspired by the reference images, I decided to use black for its hoofs and other areas of it, like the nose, eyes, and I also gave it some bangs, which match with the hairs on its tiny tail. As I painted the giraffe, I was anticipating painting its little tie. So I was thinking about why on earth would this baby giraffe be even wearing a tie? And then it hit me. He is going to a party and he wanted to look fancy because Gerard, oh yeah, that's his name now, Gerard, is very well put together. So I thought he would keep it matchy matchy and I painted the tie yellow. Now that the party idea was in my head, I thought he needed to look more birthday like. So first, I sculpted a tiny birthday hat for him using foam clay. I used foam clay because it's so lightweight it won't tip over the squishy once it's on it. I glued it in place with puffy paint that I also used to create tiny pom-poms around it. And then I rolled a tiny clay ball for the pom-pom on top. Once everything dried, I used a paint marker to paint the eyes turquoise and match them to the hat by painting it as well. I love using markers for details. It truly makes it easier with the juicy brush nibs. But the party hat was not enough of a birthday vibe for me, so I started painting colorful sprinkles on top of all of his spots. Gerard is a truly proper, well behaved, and sweet little giraffe, but he also has a playful side and he loves that he doesn't have to be all loud about it because his personality comes through all the sprinkles he has on his spots, and that makes him so unique. I had a blast painting all of the sprinkles, and then I thought, why not make it even more extra by having stripes on his tie as well? Then I painted the shinies on his eyes, fixed some details, painted polka dots on the party hat, and here he is Finished and so beautiful. Gerard the giraffe. I am so happy with the results. I cannot wait to show it to my Instagram community so they can see the makeover I gave it. But before that, I decided I wanted to tackle the elephant. Here it is, all weird with his tiny trunk and weird seating position. I don't know why the seating of the elephant bothered me so much. It just looks odd to me. Even though I googled it, and yeah, they do sit like this. Well, regardless, I did not know what to do with him. Mind you, I've already turned one of these elephants into a koala. Here it is, by the way. His name is Orlando. He's an expat and he's living in Florida. He really likes oranges. So I didn't really have a great idea for this second elephant. And then I thought maybe if I move its ears, it could be something. So I got my sketchbook out and I loosely traced around it. And I moved the ears in my drawing to see if this could become a mouse. In the drawing, the plan worked, but again, it bothered me to have a mouse sitting this way. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just rip off the ears and place them on the side so it will be a puppy. And then the way it's sitting would make sense to me. I had a plan. So I sliced its ears out, and that felt so wrong. But I did it, and then the gap the ears left was so big. I don't think I could have made it into a mouse after all. How would I have filled those huge gaps? It definitely could only work as a puppy. That's why I went ahead and also removed part of the trunk and the thin ribbon the elephant had around its neck. I kept it for Orlando, but I was done with the ribbon. I think it's very ugly. Now it was time to use fabric glue to attach the ears on and to try my best to fill in all of those cuts I made with some puffy paint. I also tried to create a muzzle on top of where the trunk was and to fill the gaps between the head and the ears with the puffy paint. I added a ton of puffy paint to this character, so it needed a lot of time to dry before I could work with it. So that's why we'll check on it at the end of the video, and for now, I'm going to switch characters and work with the bunny. Once the bunny was completely white, I could really see how cute it actually was. It just got an awful paint job. So I thought I'm gonna keep the cuteness by painting it all with a pale pink. I was painting the character when I noticed it's wearing something. The original shape of the squishy has some little marks that make it look like it's wearing a t-shirt or something. So it occurred to me that with Halloween around the corner, it could be wearing a costume. And I thought a pumpkin costume would really fit onto the markings it already had. I need to paint a lot of layers on these sometimes to make the paint opaque enough. And it was already too dark for me to film with natural light when I was adding the last layer of color for the bunny, which I recorded because when I added it, I found a tiny imperfection on the bunny's face that I just had to pick. And when I did, it pulled all of the paint around the bunny with it. I peeled it off entirely. I guess I didn't sand it well enough, so on the next day, I had to start all over with the white paint, base layers, the pink, and the orange. But thankfully, with editing, we can fast forward all those hours of work and skip right into the next step, which was using a bit of foam clay to transform the flower on its head into the top of a pumpkin. Now it would be like a tiny pumpkin hat to complement the pumpkin costume it's wearing on its body. So I just made a tiny stem, leaf, and a little green swirl, and I attached them using a little bit of white glue just in case. Cute! Everything else needed to finish the design I would need to do with paint, starting with giving it some rosy cheeks, which I actually decided to use orange for. I wanted them to blend with the rest of its face. Blending takes a lot of time, but I went crazy with it for this squishy and I added it everywhere. Cheeks, muscle, ears, hands, paws, everywhere. But I couldn't help myself. It was making it cuter and cuter. The arms I painted with a different color because it had sleeve marks on it, and I thought it would be nice to have it wear a long sleeve under t-shirt, just like moms have their kids wear under their costumes to keep them warm. I painted the eyes green, the nose orange, and then used black to give it huge eyes too. eyelashes, and then some stripes around her costume with a darker orange so you could really tell it's a pumpkin. After adding eyebrows, I thought the nose was a little too big, so I fixed that and here she is. I'm obsessed with this one. I think it's the cutest little bunny ever, and I'm so happy I trusted on the Squishies potential and gave it a makeover. It's precious. I was truly so hyped and ready to move to the next one, a penguin. So once the penguin was completely covered with white, I noticed I really did not like the bulging eyes on it. So I just had to cut those off and fill the space with puffy paint, which I also used to create a new set of larger, rounder eyes placed lower where I liked them more. When the puffy paint was almost dried, I started to paint the penguin with yellow because I was craving and obsessing about this lemon blueberry cake my daughter and I ate over the weekend. That first layer of paint dried and it was screaming yellow, so I thought it needed to be a little bit more subtle. So I mixed a new color and painted again. I was honestly a bit worried about this penguin, having just watched Mariah Elizabeth's latest video in which she is about to customize a penguin squishy. I wanted to try to do my best to have the idea be completely different to the ones she contemplated on her video. So I was grateful. I've been obsessing about that dessert so much, it gave me inspiration. While the penguin dried, I grabbed some more foam clay, blue and purple this time, and mixed it together to model a couple of blueberries. Again, here I was being inspired by the dessert I had, but now that I'm editing, I pulled a picture of it to show it to you, and it honestly has nothing to do with what I'm doing. I think I kept the flavors in my mind, but I forgot how it looked. It was a lemon cake with blueberries, a strawberry drizzle, and crumble on top of a cream cheese frosting. And I've realized that even though the wonderful flavors inspired this today, I should still use it as inspiration for a future project. And then I would replicate the look of it and not the ingredients. It was really, really, truly that yummy. Once the clay was mixed and rolled up into little balls to make the blueberries, I decided to bring some in for a reference on how to do the top of them. Sadly, I only had these tiny, tiny blueberries at home, but they did the job. I prefer the tiny ones for when I'm doing overnight oats, so that's why I have these. The penguin was already dry enough, so I laid my blueberries to the side and I started to work on the details for it. First, by painting its belly with a lighter yellow, trying to make it look more like a lemon. I was about to paint the face when I realized I also needed a reference image to make it look right. Yeah, I was already making a second mistake, but it was an easy fix and it quickly looked like a baby penguin once I used the reference image. I painted the beak and the feet with a darker yellow, and the contrast is so strong it almost looks orange, but it's yellow. Then I outlined the lighter part with white and yellow markers, again trying unsuccessfully to make it look more like a lemon. Maybe I should have added seeds. Oh well. Move on to paint its bow. I started with purple, but it clashed with the blueberries, so I had to mix the right color. And as I started painting, I did not love this purplish blue, but I decided to trust the process and just finish it. If I hated it, I could paint over it later. I also used this blue for the eyes and then painted the rest of them black to match with our previous characters. Now I wanted to add that creamy perfect frosting to my blueberry lemon mix, so I created it by drizzling my penguin's head with puffy paint. And then I just put the blueberries on top and let it dry. And here it is. Oh, he's so cute. He looks a bit like a baby in a sailor costume, and I'm here for that. No more creepy staring, just pure cuteness. And that finally takes us back to the elephant, which is now a puppy, sorry. And I had no clue what to do with it. I had so many layers of puppy paint and white paint, and it was looking so scruffy and uneven. I was out of ideas for this squishy. So I thought I would take the easy road out and paint it a lighter version of its original color, purple. And I made it a light purple just for it to match the squishies I had painted already. So now I had a purple puppy. And with no ideas, I thought I would cover the parts where the texture was the worst by painting little flowers on top, inspired by a puppy drawing I did a little while ago in my sketchbook. I had a puppy on my desk, but I also had one next to me calling for attention. So I decided to use her as inspo as well and give my lavender puppy a darker muzzle and ears, and also white paws and a lighter chest. While I was again spending a lot of time blending the purple paint, I was thinking that this might be my last squishy makeover video since I don't have any more squishies. They are surprisingly hard to come by here in Quito. Or I was thinking if I find one, then maybe I could purchase 3 or 4 of the same one and transform it in 4 different ways. Both my friend Rose and Mariah Elizabeth have done this, and it seems like so much fun. I'll link their videos in the description so you can watch them too. What do you think? Could be fun. Or some people have told me they have squishies I could make over, and if that was you, email me and maybe I can make over some of yours. I'll put my email in the description as well. But back to this puppy, once I was done with all of the blending, I just had to paint little toe beans on it. They are the cutest part of any pup. And then it was all about layering more and more tiny flowers. I tried to paint them with a marker, but they were just not opaque enough. So again, I was rescued by one of my tiny brushes. The eyes, of course, were huge and black, and after defining the flowers better by adding yellow centers to them, the once elephant was now done. It is the simplest of all the squishies, but the biggest transformation at the same time. And of course, the lavender pup had to get a cutie mark on his bum. Love it. Soft and beautiful, and I love, love, love how fussy the flowers look. Here's a photo of how all the squishies looked before, and here's each one of them after their colorful makeover. And I can't pick a favorite. This has to be one of my favorite videos I've made because I liked how everything turned out. I knew all of these had potential. And that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I had a blast, and don't worry, next week we'll have another sketchbook video. But for now, I hope you like these and that you're having the most wonderful day. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.